In 1965, Bill Allen and Juan Trippe were on a fishing trip in Alaska. And naturally, as Bill Allen was the head of Boeing and Juan Trippe was the boss at Pan Am, their conversation naturally turned onto the topic of aviation, and more importantly, the future of aviation. And this was the perfect opportunity for Juan to propose his idea of a superliner. This new aircraft would become the largest passenger-carrying aircraft in the skies. Of course, at this point it had no name and more importantly, no design, but this is where the story of the 747 began. I won't be going on and on about the history of the 747, but this is where things started to come together. Many designs came around for the 747, but the main principle was to put two 707 fuselages together to make the world's first wide-body aircraft. The final design came from an American aeronautics designer named Joe Sutter. The reason why Joe Sutter's design was favoured among others is because of the possibility that it could be turned into a cargo aircraft. You see, at the same time as the 747 was being produced, there was a race currently on between America, the UK, France and Russia to see what country would be the first one to build the first supersonic passenger aircraft. And with the 747's cockpit being above the main fuselage, the 747 could have a future role as carrying parts of Boeing's new supersonic transport aircraft. And then if you fast forward, Boeing ended up not producing a supersonic passenger aircraft and were left with the 747. But this didn't really matter because over the next 50 years, the 747 would turn out to be a massive success, as the 747 first took flight on February 9th, 1969. And then in 1988, Boeing released a newer upgraded version of the 747, the 747-400. Still to this day, the largest operator of the 747-400 was British Airways. At their peak, they operated 57 of these aircraft. And even moving into the 21st century, as other airlines started to retire the 747-400, British Airways still kept quite a few of them. But then in 2020, the coronavirus hit, and British Airways, along with all the other airlines around the world, had to ground a lot of their aircraft. British Airways are storing their aircraft in various airports all around the world, but when we're just looking at the UK, British Airways are using these airports as their storage facilities. London Heathrow, London Gatwick, London City, Bournemouth, Cardiff, Kemble, Glasgow, Norwich and Southend are all airports where British Airways are storing their aircraft. Of these locations, only a few of them stored the 747. These locations included London Heathrow, Bournemouth, Cardiff and Kemble. If you remember back to May, I actually went to visit Bournemouth as it wasn't too far from my house. I saw various A319s, A320s, A321s and 4 British Airways 747s. But back then, BA's aim was actually to get their 747s back into service and then they would retire them by 2024. However, sadly, a couple of weeks ago now, that all changed. British Airways have announced that they will be retiring all of their 747s. And so I decided to go on a trip. This trip would take me to see a lot of the British Airways 747s that are still in operational condition. And so my trip would take me from my hometown in Portsmouth up to my first location, which was London Heathrow. Then after London, I'll be crossing borders into Wales specifically to see Cardiff International Airport. This is another one of British Airways' bases. Then from Cardiff, I'll be heading 10 minutes up the road to see a little airport called St Athan. Then on the way back from St Athan, I'll be checking in at Kemble Airport. And so, as I said, to start this trip, I will be heading to London Heathrow. This is a car journey I'm very familiar with, as London Heathrow is my main international airport in relation to my house. The journey usually lasts around an hour and a half, but this one will be different because I'm not actually going to any of the main terminals. Instead, I will be taking the perimeter road around to the maintenance facility at London Heathrow. Heathrow is made out of 5 terminals. You've got the main section, which is terminals 1, 2 and 3, then terminal 4, which is the other side of the runway on the south side, and then you've got the huge terminal 5. But there's also this area, which is the maintenance area at London Heathrow. One of the things that actually really surprised me, and I know this might be a bit of a duh moment, but I've seen this area on Google Earth before, but one of the things that really shocked me was how big the hangars are. I know that they're buildings designed to take in huge aircraft, but standing in front of these hangars, they're just overwhelming. But I parked at the Hatton Cross tube station and then walked around the perimeter road of London Heathrow. The first aircraft I came across was a 777-300 and three 747-400s. These were located down a little access road. I'll have all the various registrations and information about all these aircraft in the description below, but this 777-300 was registered Golf Sierra Tango Bravo Juliet. This aircraft was built in 2014 and was delivered to Cardiff Airport in March of that same year, when it was then outfitted and then flown from there to its main base at London Heathrow. Then the first three 747s I came across that day were Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Papa, Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Indigo, and Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Yankee. Victor Papa and Victor Indigo were both painted into the One World liveries, and a funny little coincidence is I have both of these aircraft in 1:400 scale. I have Victor Papa in its current One World form, and I have Victor Indigo in its old Landor 1990 colours. Victor Papa is 22 years old and was built in 1998. It was painted into the One World colours in 2009, and I also saw this exact aircraft being stored at Bournemouth in May. Victor Indigo is 24 years old and was built in 1996, and just like Victor Papa, it was painted into the One World colours in 2009. And then Victor Yankee. Now, Victor Yankee is the youngest of the three, and it's just about to turn 22. It was built in September 1998 and is painted into British Airways' regular livery. A common misconception is that these aircraft are old. A lot of these aircraft are actually only a couple years older than a lot of BA's A319s and A320s, which are about 20 years old. But then moving from the service road, I moved on to a lot more 747s. Overall, there were 8 747s here at London Heathrow today, and the main bulk of them were here. First, there was this 787-9. One of the newer aircraft in BA's fleet, this 787 was delivered in 2016 and is registered Golf Zulu Bravo Kilo November. Then we had Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Echo. This 747 was built in 1994 and is still painted into British Airways' regular livery. Next we had Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Kilo. This 747 was built in 1996 and is painted into BA's One World livery. Then next in the mix we have this Boeing 777-200. Sadly, this along with the A380 are sadly next on the chopping board for British Airways. However, British Airways still operates 45 of these aircraft and only 4 have been retired. This one is registered Golf Victor Indigo Indigo Kilo and it's 22 years old. Although this aircraft is actually older than some of the 747s that are being retired, this aircraft is a lot more efficient than the 747, so chances are this will stay in BA's fleet. Then we have Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Hotel. This 747 was built in 1996 and is 24 years old. Then skipping one, we have Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Delta. This 747 was painted into the One World colours, but it was only done so in 2014. And then in the middle, we have this. This one right here, this British Airways 747-400 in the Nagus Retro livery. This registration is Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Bravo. This was the very last 747 I flew. August 2018. From Washington Dulles International Airport to London Heathrow. I was actually sat on the upper deck in business class. I took a photo of the exact 4 windows that I had on my seat. This is my very last 747 flight right here. Although this aircraft is painted into the special Nagus Retro livery, I flew this aircraft pre-Nagus when it was just a plain basic British Airways 747. British Airways painted 4 aircraft into retro liveries to celebrate their 100th year anniversary. They painted a British Airways A319 into the BEA colours, and I actually saw this exact aircraft at Bournemouth when I went in May. Then they actually painted 3 747s into special retro colours. This aircraft is called Nagus and it's named after the livery that British Airways used for a decade in between 1974 and 1984. And that concludes all the aircraft I saw at London Heathrow. All in all, there were 8 747s here at London Heathrow, but we're not done yet. I'll be getting back in my car and driving 150 miles west to the Severn Bridge, where I would then cross borders into Wales before heading to Cardiff International Airport. Cardiff Airport was opened in 1954 and is currently the largest airport in Wales. It serves various airlines such as BH Air, Eastern, KLM, Ryanair, TUI and Vueling to destinations all around Europe, but there's also one wide-body operator. Qatar was actually the first airline to start wide-body service to not only Cardiff, but also the entire country of Wales. They operate both the A350 and 787 to Doha in Qatar. Although Qatar was the first airline to start wide-body service to Wales, another airline has actually been flying wide-body aircraft to Wales for many years. Cardiff Airport is home to a huge £70 million hangar, which is one of the primary maintenance bases for British Airways. The base was opened in 1993 and has been the host to maintaining all of British Airways' long-haul Boeing aircraft, such as the 767, 747-400, 777-200, 777-300, 787-9, 787-8, and soon to be the 787-10 as well. As this is one of British Airways' primary maintenance bases, it makes sense for British Airways to store a lot of aircraft here during the whole coronavirus pandemic, and that's exactly what they've done. Located here at Cardiff, we had one 777-200, one 787-8, as well as 12 747s, plus the possibility of there being some aircraft inside the hangars. I parked in a rental area at Cardiff International Airport. I don't think you're supposed to, but due to the lack of anybody at the airport at the time, I think I was okay. This was also a very good location as I was right next to the other two retro 747s. We have Golf Bravo November Lima Yankee. This is the 747 that was painted into the Landor retro livery. This is a livery that British Airways used from 1984 to 1997. Then we also have Golf Bravo Yankee Golf Charlie. This aircraft was painted into the BOAC livery. This livery, of course, being a reference to British Airways before BOAC and BEA merged in 1974. As I said, there were 12 747s here at Cardiff, but I didn't manage to get the registrations of all of them because some of them were quite far away. But we had Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Charlie, a 26-year-old 747 that was built in 1994. Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Oscar, a 22-year-old 747 built in 1997. Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Uniform, a 22-year-old 747 built in 1998. Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Victor, another 22-year-old 747 built in 1998. Golf Charlie Indigo Victor Whiskey, again another 22-year-old 747 built in 1998. But then we also have Golf Bravo Yankee Golf Golf. Now this 747 is special because this is actually British Airways' youngest 747. It was delivered to BA in 1999. One of the things that really struck me about the 747's retirement and seeing all of these aircraft is each, over 20 years, these have all carried around 2.6 million passengers. And at the end of the day, when they've made thousands of flights, they've carried their passengers and crew safely to all their destinations, it's let go. And I understand that at the end of the day, these are literally just big pieces of metal, but it's the sentimental value that's lost when these are owned by these huge airlines, because at the end of the day, all an airline really wants to do is make money. And when these aircraft aren't viable anymore, when they're not bringing in money, they're let go, they're scrapped, they're gotten rid of. And sadly, this is only just going to get sadder as we move on to our next two destinations. And that's right, we're not done yet, but I have kind of reached my limit for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will again be releasing another video just like this on my next two destinations, which is St Athan and Kemble. But until then, I want to thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.